Okay, so this should be my final video. What I'm going to cover in this video is the HUD objects, such as the score, high score, HUDs, and the flyweight pattern from the HUD font. So I guess I'll start with the flyweight pattern, actually. So this is basically exactly what you did. I I would love to understand this more. I think I do understand it. So the glyphs are just, I mean, that is the all it is that's a letter, what it is. And the sprite sheet is the actual sheet, and then we convert based on what the letter actually is. We convert to whatever position the 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 letter on the sprite sheet is. Um, as you'll probably notice in the actual game, I used the HUD from the actual flyweight demo just because it was double sized and was the actual size of the ones in the online game, um, which is, yeah, I liked that HUD better. So this is the actual font. As you can see, it's exactly the flyweight demo. So we will get in with that out of the way. We'll get into the actual HUD class. So the HUD class comes with a few things. So this class is just displaying things to the HUD because with a singleton pattern, um, I mean, even though this is a singleton pattern, I was having a lot of trouble with the glyphs when I was trying to do it straight from the score and the high score areas. I don't know why, but the game did not like it one bit. So I have this. So here we're initializing all the headers and everything like that. Uh, this function is used to create the high scoreboard. I recreate it from scratch every time, just because every time it's different. When I create the board, I only create it one time per time it's being displayed. So it's not like this function is getting called a lot, but it's calling and creating the board from scratch from scores that we receive from the high score class. And then setting play instructions, press 1 to play, and then it gets the highest score that is displayed at the very top. Print high scores. This was a function that was supposed to get rid, or was supposed to do the invisible mushrooms. For some reason, those just are not working. I don't know why, because everything points to they should be spawning, but they just don't like to. They just don't like to collide, I guess. But they're there. It sets scoreboard equal to true. And yeah. And then it's supposed to be spawning the invisible mushrooms here. So updating high score. This is what is called when we're typing in the letters. So the letters appear down below. I did it when I was playing the game. I pressed space on accident. So if you start the game and you enter a high score, you'll see that it'll enter 2 letters, and you'll be able to see your 2 letters, and you can use delete with the high score, but we'll look at that in the actual high score class in a second. So update, what this does is it takes in a string, which is the name that you're entering, and it writes the string to the screen. Update current score. This is used by the score manager. This is the top left score value. Now for the draw, If we're updating the high score, we don't want the scoreboard, so we type in the, so we display a couple of values, such as enter 3 letters and then the name, which this is enter 3 letters. This will be the name. And then if the size is greater than 2, updating is false. I put this in here because I was having trouble with updating being true a few times, or when it shouldn't have been. Scoreboard. That's if we're showing the scoreboard. So we draw the whole scoreboard, draw the scoreboard label, and then draw the play instructions. This is for drawing the high score at the top of the screen. So if we're not showing the scoreboard and we're not showing updating, then we draw this. And then obviously we're always drawing current score, because if we're showing this high score, then we're in attractor mode, and we want to show that. So that is that for the HUD. So let's go into the score manager. Switching sides here, so this is the .cpp over here. This is a singleton. We have, it's pretty simple. Here we have the initializer. It sets the scores for both profiles. It starts with an array of two, one for each player. And then it initializes this. So this none is for basically so I can get that 0 value at the very top. Update current score. Add score. This takes in an enum value that's found in the score. We find that right over here. So the critters and whatever else will insert the value onto into this function, and then it uses a switch statement that, based on that value, adds the correct score for whatever critter is destroyed. Then it adds the points to the player profile, updates current score at the HUD. Get score, this is for getting the score back, and then set player in the scoreboard. Now let's look at the high scores. So initializing, this is a singleton, as we can see. So we're initializing, we read in the high score text file, which is just a plain text file that I will pull up for you here, which should prove that this updates the thing. Because if you remember from the very first video, I typed in space CL, and as we can see here, space is there, and it updates the score. It's a very, 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 very simple .text file. I mean, I'm not really protecting from hacking from the teacher, so like, it doesn't really matter. So it just reads in that file and stores them as strings in the scores array. And then it creates the board in the HUD. Show scoreboard, that's called from the game manager. It prints the high scores, so it's showing the scoreboard. Hide scoreboard, it calls hide scoreboard in the HUD, which I believe I might have accidentally skipped over. Oh, where is it? I think it's actually in the .h. It's one of these really short ones. Yeah. So in the .h, it's super short. It's just scoreboard equals false. That's it. So I figured it wasn't really worth a whole thing in the .cpp. So get highest score. It returns the highest score, so that's what goes on the top of the screen. Get score at returns the score at a certain point in the scoreboard. And I use this. This is actually an interior function for use down here. So what this is I'm going to skip this function for now. This function is the update high scores, and it's sent a score value by the, I think the profile manager sends the score of, you know what, no, it's the, I think it's the game manager, sends a, it sends an int that is the score value, and then this checks if it should be on the high scoreboard, and if a place is found for it, then it calls updating high score with the new score, which is the HUD. Just sent to the HUD. New score is the name of the player, not an actual or not the value of the score. So this is starting off that like 3-letter thing underneath. So because updating is true, and we have a registered text enter area here, we test if updating, and since updating is true, we add scores. Now, this Unicode value is the Unicode value for delete or backspace. So this is how we get rid of the last letter if somebody presses backspace. And then we update the name. If the new score length is greater than 2, so if we've entered 3 letters, we call update boards, which is the function that I skipped for a second because it's right here. Deregister the input, turn updating to false, add a space to the new score so that name string, add the score to the new score, and then we figure out where it needs to be in the array, put it into the array, and then move everything else down. Then we create a new board and stream the new score out to the score file. And that is it. I believe that I have covered everything in the game. I'll look at my scene file just so you can see that. As you can see, I just set the window size, set background color, and then call initialize game in the game manager, which I believe is also one of those teeny tiny functions. Yeah, initialize game, teeny tiny function. All it does call instance. Where is that level? There it is. So yeah, and then we do collision tests. Bullet and blaster, really the only thing we're registering collision for. Something that I did not realize for a very long time is the thing you set here is the thing that gets called, its collision function gets called first. That was fun to figure out after a while because the bullet was just being a nuisance with that. Anyway, yeah, so that's my final sprint. I believe that I covered everything. If not, the code is online, but I'm pretty positive I covered everything. Thanks for watching.